seen it.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Nice boots.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm wearing boots today.
Yeah.
I'm trying something new.
Yeah.
This is Talk Law Radio with Todd Marquardt. I'm here with Shannon, Roberta, Salmon-Haas, Instagram sensation here in San Antonio. She's wants to heal the community, heal the division, and if you have ideas for doing that, maybe you should find her on Instagram.
Yeah, DM me. I wanna talk to you.
Shannon, Roberta SA?
Yeah.
Okay, on Instagram. And this is our fourth segment. It's the legacy segment.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio
like my
Legacy
new
Spotlight.
Yeah.
What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Okay, so this is the reason that Marquardt Law Firm helps people with their last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans, because it's all about legacy. And what I wanted to say about legacy today was I wanted to remember the victims of the San Antonio floods on June 12th.
Oh, good. Good, yeah.
Because those people had families, they had lives, they had a mission or a vision that they were trying to realize.
Yeah.
They were hopefully serving God's people in some way.
Right.
And so I saw an article, there was a vigil for them. 13 people were killed. 12 of them had been identified. And I didn't really know where this flood was. Do you?
I could kind of picture it a little bit, and I didn't go over there.
The article says the 11 of the victims were found in the Loop 410 and Pyramidal Road area after cars on the 410 access road were swept away by water.
Yeah. Did you see the images?
No, I didn't. So it just reminds me that tomorrow is promised to no one. You can find yourself in a flood without even doing anything wrong. I mean, they just happen to be there. There's too much water and get swept away.
It was so sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah. A thief in the night.
That's right. We need to prepare for that just in case. And the most dangerous thing we all do probably is drive. So if it's not a flood, it might be a car accident. I don't want to get you
I'll be okay.
anxious about it, about driving in a car, but that's the point in time or the activity when bad things happen to good people.
Yeah.
Like people aren't actively out there trying to wreck their cars.
Right.
Or trying to find a flood to drive into.
Right. They could have just been out of milk.
Yeah, life is fragile. And so we should prepare our affairs while we still can. Let me talk about the elder law
and we
case.
should maybe eat the chocolate cake and drink the wine.
Well, yeah, but not too much.
I'm sorry. I did that right in the microphone, didn't
Right.
I? I'm so sorry.
Come on. Well, at least you didn't.
I'm not sick. I just have I had a little tickle in my
Yeah.
throat.
Well, you're doing better than me today. I had a train wreck at that last 40 seconds at the end of the last segment.
Oh, you are exaggerating. It was charming.
There was a guardianship case in Michigan that I just want to mention because this comes up a lot. There's a 95-year-old woman diagnosed with dementia, living in assisted living. One of her daughters petitioned the court to be named as her guardian. One of the other daughters, along with the son-in-law, who sometimes is the outlaw, moved to their home in South Carolina for 3 months without providing notice to their guardian. They took mom from Michigan to South Carolina. some people would call that kidnapping. Because presumably if she has dementia, she can't consent to that.
Oh, right.
And so you have to be careful with the family when you're deciding where mom and dad should live. I hope my kids don't fight over me. I'd rather somebody else fight over me than them.
Yeah.
I want them to maintain their sibling relationships. You have siblings? You're all alone. You got to take care of your parents all by yourself. Is that scary?
I told Aaron about it. When we got married, I said, hey, there's some, a part of the deal is this is on me. I've got to take care of my parents.
Well, that was a good topic of discussion to bring up. He probably didn't think, how hard is that going to be? What does that look like?
Well, he's a very analytical guy. He probably factored it in.
Okay. All right. Well, drink your water.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know what happened.
Let me talk about some business law. There's business owners that like to listen to the show. And so I wanted to let them know about some things that were just announced. There was in 2024, there was going to be a new rule with the Department of Labor to decide how do you tell the difference between an independent contractor and an employee.
Oh, good.
Because frequently business owners will misclassify people
Right.
because they're trying to save money.
Right. And they don't want the liability.
Right. Well, President Trump was elected president, and so he says he doesn't like that rule. And so the Department of Labor is not going to use that 2024 rule.
Okay.
Instead, they're going to use an opinion letter that was based on a July 2008 decision by the Department of Labor to decide how to classify employees and contractors. This is also a state issue, though.
Right.
You don't have to just worry about the federal Department of Labor. You also have to worry about the Texas Workforce Commission. So the Texas Workforce Commission generally defines an independent contractor as a self-employed individual or business entity contracted to provide services under a specific agreement where the hiring company primarily controls the results of the work, not the methods or the process.
Right.
This
They have
mean-
autonomy.
Right. This means the contractor maintains control over how the work is done using their own methods and tools and is responsible for their own taxes and expenses.
They probably don't have a schedule. You're not telling them, okay, you're working 9 to 5, like they're dictating their own schedule.
Right. Yeah.
But that's been changed federally now, or tweaked a little bit.
Well, no, we've been using the old rule. It's just that in 2024, Department of Labor says we're going to change the analysis of how we decide this.
Okay.
And so all the businesses all over the United States were going to rely on that.
Yeah.
And it was going to make it more difficult to classify somebody as an independent contractor. But President Trump and his administration said, no, that regulation doesn't make sense. We're going to do it the old way. So just letting people know.
Well, so what do they do? What do people do? What do you do?
Well, they need to evaluate this. I think businesses should have an attorney call them, say, help me classify this person based on what they're doing and how I've arranged their contract.
Yeah. I think that attorney should be you because in addition to knowing this stuff, you also run a business.
Yes. I frequently have had to read the Texas Workforce Commission handbook for employers for my own business purposes.
Yeah.
See, the problem is that some employees aren't good employees.
Okay.
And so whenever they do something that harms me.
Right.
I have to revise my employee handbook that
Really?
says you're prohibited from doing that from now on.
Yeah. So your handbook's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah. For every provision in the handbook, there's a situation. Maybe we should talk more about that.
I've always wanted to. I mean, you've always been so helpful with me when I have questions about how to run a business, or you always.
Yeah, you did ask me a couple of times about employees.
You were always very, very helpful.
Oh, of course. So there are a lot of different situations where you might have to encounter this analysis of whether your employee is really an employee or whether your contractor is really independent. Find an attorney.
And why? And remind me why that's important. For taxes and also.
Yes, income taxes. You're supposed to be paying your employees Medicare and Social Security tax. And also for unemployment.
Yeah.
So one time I knew this old guy. He had somebody that he knew
now you
taking
have a
care of him.
fancier word that you say. What do you say? Older person?
Older individual.
Was he our age?
No. Somebody was helping him around the house. And then the older person said, I don't like you anymore. I don't want you helping me anymore. That guy filed for unemployment.
Yes, right. Yeah.
And he said, that wasn't my employee. I'm not a business.
Right.
Well, it's a real thing.
Yeah. And then all the laws that govern employer relations apply to you.
That's right. One other thing I wanted to mention that is really interesting is there's a Federal Trade Commission rule on negative options and the final click to cancel rule. So these are businesses where you sign up for something.
Okay.
And the only way that you can stop paying that subscription is to cancel it.
Right.
Well, this rule says that the businesses that...
they got me. I had been paying for something for a year.
I believe it. I think I'm one of those people too.
I can't even remember what it was, but I added it up and I was like,
there's a newspaper in Miami that I'm subscribed to only because I wanted to read one article one day.
Yeah.
And I've got to figure out how to click to cancel now.
Right.
Well, the reason this came about is because the Federal Trade Commission said that they were using deceptive tactics.
Yeah.
To con or get you to
See, there's an example of the feds doing thank you, FTC.
But it's going to increase regulation on business.
Okay, yeah.
So there's two sides of the coin there.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for making that stuff interesting.
I try.
Yeah,
I do
you
my
did.
best. And hopefully it helped all of you discover legal issue blind spots. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Stay tuned for Talk Law Radio. Talk to you later.
Bye.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.